Exactly 70 years ago, the United States, under President Harry Truman, became the first nation to recognize the State of Israel.
The American embassy officially opened in Jerusalem, the capital of the State of Israel.
We cannot be friends with people who maim and murder children. We're a human rights-orientated country.
I urge all those concerned to refrain from further escalating the situation.
Doesn't have the right to kill them in that way or to even take our land.
The conflict there, we find, resonates with our own situation when we were under apartheid.
Monday, the 14th of May, 2018, Gaza's bloodiest day since the 2014 war. Israeli security forces shoot dead dozens of Palestinian protesters along the border, prompting South Africa to withdraw its ambassador from Israel.
The conflict there, we find, resonates with our own situation when we were under apartheid. And I do know that the Israeli people do not like the comparison. But the comparison is in the context that it took the world, and the world standing up to support us as the ANC, and the world saying to the South African government then, this far and no further.
ANC stalwarts call the incidents a crime against humanity.
We cannot be friends with people who maim and murder children. We're a human rights-orientated country, and what we want for ourselves, we must want for other people. And we know that at the moment in Gaza, people are struggling for food. We know because we speak to the people in Gaza every day. We're not hearing that from any newspaper cutting. We also know that our friends and the people of Palestine are standing at the fence because they want to go back to their land. Their land was taken away in 1948. It needs to be given back to them.
The Gaza protests mark the 70th anniversary of what Palestinians call the Nakba, or catastrophe. This was when over 700,000 were expelled or fled at the creation of the State of Israel in 1948.
مسيرتي اليوم تأتي في الذكرى 70 للنكبة. اليوم طوينا 70 عاما من النكبة، والآن بدأنا مرحلة العودة. مرحلة العودة بدأت من غزة، واليوم تنطلق من بيت لحم لتستمر فعاليات المسيرات الكبرى للعودة إلى القدس، للعودة إلى قرانا ومدننا. وتأتي هذه المناسبة اليوم في ذكرى نقل السفارة الأمريكية إلى القدس لنوصل رسالة إلى العالم أجمع بأن القدس هي العاصمة الأبدية لفلسطين.
Thousands of Palestinian protesters face Israeli snipers along the Gaza border with Israel. It's a bloodbath. 60 are killed, at least 6 of them children.
ما حدث كان نوع من أنواع الجرائم التي يجب أن يحاسب عليها الجيش الإسرائيلي الغاصب. يعني ما حدث هو عبارة عن جريمة نكراء.
تحمل المسؤولية لإسرائيل، هي اللي قتلت بنتي، قتلوها في الغاز، اللي بقتل الأطفال والشباب والاختيارية. بنت 8 شهور، إيش ذنبها هذه؟ إيش ذنبها؟
فيه هو يعني كان هو لسه يا دوبك رايح يتوضا ويجهز حاله للصلاة فقط لا غير، لا كان حامل سلاح، لا كان حامل سكين، لا كان حتى يعني كل روحاته كانت سلمية 100%، يعني ما كان حاب يعتدي ولا يعمل أي شيء. حسبنا الله.
The protests coincide with the US Embassy reopening in Jerusalem after being relocated from Tel Aviv.
It's been a long time coming. Almost immediately after declaring statehood in 1948, Israel designated the city of Jerusalem as its capital. The capital the Jewish people established in ancient times. So important. Today, Jerusalem is the seat of Israel's government. It is the home of the Israeli legislature and the Israeli Supreme Court and Israel's prime minister and president. Israel is a sovereign nation with the right, like every other sovereign nation, to determine its own capital. Yet for many years we failed to acknowledge the obvious, the plain reality that Israel's capital is Jerusalem.
Almost exactly 70 years to the minute from the rebirth of the Jewish state, the American embassy officially opened in Jerusalem, the capital of the state of Israel, today.
Israel accuses the Islamist movement Hamas of deliberately putting civilians in the line of fire.
Or take Hamas leader Yahya Sinwar. He said that the aim of the riots is to, quote, tear down Israel's border and tear out their hearts. I agree that destroying Israel and killing innocent Israelis is his true goal. Well, how about senior Hamas official Salah Baghdawir? He said that 50 out of the 60 Palestinians killed Monday, that's over 80%, were members of Hamas. In other words, members of a terrorist organization. The same Hamas that has called for genocide of every single Jew.
It was very clear what Hamas was trying to do yesterday. We defended against those attacks. We held the line and we made sure that none of the many terrorists who tried to come across were able to do so. Hamas controls the level of violence. If they choose to send people forward to try to dismantle the fence or to attack Israeli troops, then the immediate consequences are that we continue to defend ourselves, and then there are casualties on the other side. If Hamas doesn't send people forward in acts of violence and aggression, then everything is okay and people can continue to demonstrate. As you can see now, there's a few hundred people here just behind us. They look like they're demonstrating and they're not rioting, they're not assaulting our troops. They're safe, nothing will happen to them. Maximum, maybe there will be tear gas in the area, but nothing more.
But Palestinian leaders reject Israel's claim that they were provoked.
خطوة نقل السفارة الأمريكية إلى القدس والاعتراف بها عاصمة مزعومة للكيان الصهيوني هو اعتداء على حق شعبنا في أرضه وقدسه وعاصمته، وجريمة ضد الإنسانية وضد العالم الذي يشهد لنا بحقنا في أرضنا الغير قابل للتصرف به. لذلك نحمل الإدارة الأمريكية كل التبعات المترتبة على تنفيذ هذا القرار، وهذه الجريمة النكراء لن تمر.
تستمر المذابح والمجازر بحق شعبنا في قطاع غزة وأيضا في الضفة الغربية. بؤرة استيطانية أمريكية، يعني بالأول كان عندنا البؤر الاستيطانية بمساعدة أمريكا، هلأ عندنا بؤرة أمريكية أم بؤرة استيطانية أمريكية في القدس الشرقية.
Demonstrations against Israel break out in various nations. Some countries follow South Africa's lead by withdrawing their envoys. Pro-Palestinian groups take to the streets in Cape Town and Johannesburg in a show of solidarity.
express our condolences to the Palestinian people for what has happened yesterday. But we are also proud. We are proud that it's been young people who laid down their lives, young people who went out in the streets, expressed the spirit of resistance against the Israeli regime. So while we are obviously mourning those deaths, at the same time we're also celebrating the struggle. Those who lost their lives yesterday will continue to be alive in the consciousness and memory of those who stand up for human rights and justice. Fleek is part and parcel of this march. In fact, we've been part even of the planning of this particular march with the ANC, because our mother body, the ANC and the Youth League, have always shared a historical relationship with the struggle of the people of Palestine. We as South Africans identify with such a struggle because our land was taken away by imperialists and colonialists, just like the land of the Palestinian people. So we are commemorating 70 years of dispossession on the part of the Palestinians, and we've been taking the stances. It's because of the pressure by organizations like the ANC Youth League and others that today we find the South African government, the ANC-led government, withdrawing the ambassador from Israel.
You know, at the ANC's 54th conference, we took a resolution in which we instructed our government to downgrade the embassy of Israel in South Africa to a liaison office. So we're saying to our minister, thank you for recalling our ambassador from Tel Aviv. That's one part of the instruction that we gave to her. She's complied. The second half is to now deal with the Israeli ambassador here in Pretoria. No country can proclaim a capital city of another area. That is unheard of. So we're saying that it's time for solidarity internationally, worldwide.
Israel's use of deadly force may amount to a war crime.
قررت القيادة الفلسطينية دعوة مجلس الأمن بتكليف من السيد الرئيس للانعقاد بشكل طارئ وتوزيع مشروع قرار حول الجرائم التي ارتكبت بحق أبناء شعبنا وطلب توفير الحماية الدولية للشعب الفلسطيني.
My staff is vigilantly following the developments on the ground and recording any alleged crime that would fall within the jurisdiction of the International Criminal Court. I will be watching and I will take any action warranted by my mandate under the Rome Statute. I urge all those concerned to refrain from further escalating the situation and the Israeli Defense Forces to avoid excessive use of force. The situation in Palestine is under preliminary examination by my office.
However, some protesters clearly intend to cross the border by any means necessary.
نحن اليوم أتينا إلى الحدود الشرقية لمدينة غزة وهو يوم 14/5 وهو يوم كما يزعم الاحتلال والإدارة الأمريكية أنهم سينقلون السفارة الأمريكية إلى مدينة القدس المحتلة ويقولون أنها عاصمة إسرائيل. فنحن أتينا إلى هنا وبإذن الله سنحاول اقتحام الحدود بكل ما نمتلك من وسائل بدائية نستخدمها الشباب لنقول كلماتنا أن القدس عاصمة فلسطين وحدها وليس عاصمة لكيان ما. لن نتراجع عن اقتحام الحدود، سنقتحم الحدود مهما كلف الثمن، مهما كان الدم، مهما نزفنا من الدماء ومهما كان الثمن باهظ، لن نتراجع عن اقتحام الحدود بإذن الله رب العالمين.
Critics are calling Israel an apartheid regime.
إسرائيل دولة قامت على العنصرية والوحشية، فمش متوقعين منها أي يعني فعلة خير أو سلام أو حق تعطيه لأصحابه، فطبعا راح تتدحرج الأشياء إلى أسوأ من هيك.
لا، هم ليسوا معنيين لا بالتهدئة ولا شيء، هم معنيين بالاستيلاء على كل يعني الأرض الفلسطينية، سواء في قطاع غزة سواء في الضفة الغربية، وحل يعني هم يطمعوا إلى المزيد من الاستيلاء على الأراضي من البلاد العربية الأخرى.
situation painfully familiar to many South Africans.
Well, you know what is very, very important? It's Palestinian territory. It's Palestinian land that Israel annexed in 70 years ago. That is in a nutshell what the problem is. And exactly the same thing here. So the question that arises is, do you have the right to occupy somebody else's land? The answer is no, you don't have the right. And over and above not allowing them to occupy the land that belongs to them, you're now going and violating their rights. You don't even want to allow them to live side by side. So, in a nutshell, we are saying the rights of the Palestinians must be put back in place, and the way to do that is to put pressure on the Israeli government so that they can deal with the matter accordingly. You know, many countries in the world and many people around the world have always looked at America as superheroes. And I'm glad that people are beginning to see what the United States of America really is made of. And I think them having Trump as their president has also brought them down to earth. But let me also add, there is one particular country, and that is the United States of America, that is also assisting Israel. Now let me tell you, at the time when our people are going through what they are in Palestine, you talk about values, you talk about democratic rights, and yet you want to go and make changes now that is Jerusalem is where the Palestinian people want to make their capital, their main city. And now you want to go there and go and remove the United States Embassy and put it in there. Is that not provocation? Clearly it is.
Jewish role players in South Africa defend their homeland's actions.
So obviously it's a very long history that you're dealing with here. This is something that goes back, in some cases, a century, in some cases, several thousand years. But in this particular instance, what's been going on is that there's a group that runs Gaza. It's called Hamas. And they're very similar in ideology to groups like Boko Haram and Al-Shabaab, and have a long history, first of all, of very extremist views on Jews and also on kidnappings. And near the border between Gaza and Israel, there is a lot of communities that are living in that area. And so the biggest problem that's been lately is that with these protests, there's a big concern that these militants from Hamas might cross the border and engage in more kidnapping or more assaults on people who are living across the border. And I think that's what has been, part of why we've had this conflict at the moment on this particular issue. In terms of Jerusalem, as you know, Jerusalem was the capital of King David's city back 3,000 years ago, and has always been part of the Jewish history and religion. And the big issue at the moment is that the Israeli government has said that they would like Jerusalem as their capital, and Trump has said that they are prepared to move the embassy. America has said that they want to move the embassy, which has actually been a policy for a long time under Obama and Clinton and Bush, and they said they were going to move the embassy, but the Palestinians say that that's not what they want, and so there is a fight over whether America and can actually put their embassy in Jerusalem.
Is there no end to the conflict between Israel and Palestine? The international community supports a two-state solution. This would see Jerusalem as a shared capital with a Palestinian state. An unlikely outcome given America's declaration of Jerusalem as the Jewish state's eternal capital.
We have a new settlement outpost today in Jerusalem called the American Embassy, which is a flagrant violation of international law, a flagrant violation of the peace process. And we also witnessed today a ceremony of the Prime Minister of Israel and the administration of President Trump burying the peace process, burying the two-state solution, killing the hope in the minds of the people of the Middle East as a whole with the possibility of peace. and they're trying to bury the two-state solution and replace it with one state, two systems, the apartheid regime of the Israeli occupation, which will not succeed.
Completely agree with the leaders of the Hamas terrorist organization who've said this over the past few days. Mahmoud Azhar, co-founder of Hamas, said that calling the actions of Palestinians on the Gaza border peaceful is a clear deception. His words. This is not peaceful resistance, he said. I agree. Shooting guns and lobbing explosives at Israelis isn't peaceful at all.
This kind of situation does not help the resolution of their problem. Hard force does not help the resolution of any problem. And we've recalled our ambassador because we would like to hear from him firsthand what is happening.
In 1967, a number of Arab countries invaded Israel. That's the history of it. And as a result, Jerusalem fell in the fighting to Israel. So it's under control of the Israeli authorities. And so now there's a negotiation about how do you relate to the citizens that live in that city. And there's many questions around that. And the big discussion for the Palestinians is they would also like to claim a part of the city, and the Israelis claim a part of the city. And how do you negotiate, particularly the holy sites, so people have access to worship, which they have at the moment, and making sure that that is retained. Egypt has a peace treaty with Israel. Jordan has a peace treaty with Israel. Turkey has engagements with Israel. So there's many, many engagements that are there. And I think it's just one more thing that we need to get right in the world is to get peace between the two neighbors. That's really what it's about. The key thing, I think, is for people to start to dialogue and have negotiation, right? There's many issues that they need to figure out. The Israelis need to figure out issues. There's Palestinians need to figure out issues. And they need to sit down and talk to one another in order to get a solution, and that's the key problem.
And that the Israeli occupation doesn't have the right to kill them in that way or to even take our land.
I'm also here to demonstrate against the horrible killing that Israel is doing in Gaza right now. It's awful, and it's continuing, and it's going on, and I don't know what number we are up in now in terms of how many times Gaza has been attacked illegally while it's under illegal blockade with illegal weapons that you cannot use against civilians.
Well, if you listen to the Palestinian people, healthcare, water, sanitation, electricity, they're deprived of everything, exactly what we went through in South Africa. They are dehumanized. They don't get the respect that they deserve. They cannot work freely. They cannot move freely from one area to the other area. So it's no different to the South African apartheid that we suffered under. It's exactly the same thing, and that's what they are doing today as well. So the question is, the Palestinian people on their land, with their rights, are being violated in every aspect, exactly what we went through in South Africa. There will never be peace in the world unless all countries together, all states come together and are able to unite against the oppression of the United States on our people throughout the world. You talk about war, the United States benefit. You talk about disease, the United States of America benefit. If you talk about terrorism, the United States of America benefit, because it is them, and they have come out clearly. Even Hillary Clinton admitted. What did she admit? She admitted that Al-Qaeda was funded by them. The Iran-Iraq war, exactly the same thing. You supported one, you funded the other one. The Middle East is all about resources. It's about oil. This is what it is all about. And the United States of America, and I'm going to repeat this, unless governments unite and do not allow themselves to be exploited by the United States of America and others, pain and suffering will be the order of the day throughout the globe, and it's going to continue.
Live ammunition cannot be used on a passive people coming to demonstrate against something they feel very strongly about. Do we fear any repercussions? No, actually, a great part of the progressive world has expressed itself in condemnation of this.
I agree that Israel targets terrorists. Now, if you don't believe me, Or if you don't believe the leaders of Hamas, just take a look at this video. Palestinians break through Israel's security fence, some of them waving meat cleavers. Oh, Jews, they shout, we're coming to slaughter you. This is what we're defending our families against. And you would do exactly